Okay, Scott Stratten, good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
It's been a little while, and what's funny is before I started this podcast, the week prior, I'd seen somebody post something on LinkedIn about starting a podcast. I'm like, oh shit, another podcast! Like I just can't deal with these podcasts. But it was around that same time that I was talking to somebody about what we do and who we are
Yeah.
and what keynote speakers and what the speaking industry is all about. And they just found it fascinating. And I've been doing this now for well over a decade. And it seems like every time I have a conversation with somebody who's not familiar with the speaking business and the speaking industry, it just blows their mind.
Yeah.
Holy shit, somebody can get paid $30,000.
you're you're telling me.
Yeah.
I
So,
get to do it. You're telling me, man. It's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. And so they're like, you know what? Like you got to talk about this.
Yeah.
And so then the week
The
later, I started a podcast. And so I'm that guy now. And again, right around that time was when I saw you posted something
yeah, that's
about,
right.
hmm, about
So,
all the shadiness going on in the speaking
yeah,
industry. And
things that are not above board, and I'm gonna walk you down a little trail here,
please,
if I may.
please do.
And so, just as a quick background, if you're listening, I am a keynote speaker. I've wanted to be a keynote speaker since I was 12. I was the only 12-year-old that wanted to be a keynote speaker. People want to be an astronaut, anything else, but I saw Les Brown on TV, and I said, "Is that a job?" to my mom. I'm like, "Can I yell at people and just go home?" And she's like, "If you try hard enough." And I'm like, "That's what I want to do." And really, since I was that age, I knew one way or the other was going to be my thing, because I also knew I could talk in front of people. And the older you get, as you go through school, you realize people don't want to do that. And so that was one of my biggest assets. And so along the time, anyway, so fulfill the dream. From 2010 to 2020, I've done over 500 conference keynotes. And
Oh,
so
yeah, I got to interrupt you quickly, Scott. One of the first actual keynotes I've ever seen was you.
that's really cool. Probably with worse facial hair back in the
It
day
was
for
it
me,
was
though. Yeah.
amazing. You did not have a beard. You still had the man bun. But you know what? Like I was blown away because
Thank
before
you.
that, I had never really actually seen a professional speaker doing their thing. It was always kind of like industry folks and whatever.
Somebody's giving a presentation. Yeah.
Nobody's
Yeah.
giving a presentation. So this was like you were probably one of my first actual speakers, professional speakers I'd ever seen, and that was back in 2013. And so here we are.
Well, and this is, but really, really interesting sidebar here for a second. When you said that, and anybody listening right now, especially if you are in speaking, is realizing that you seeing me do that talk is the first time you ever saw a professional speaker. That could have been the 50th time I was telling that story or that talk, which is such an important point, right? It's like if you have to give it with the same gusto and the same passion, because you could be sitting in the audience saying, "Oh, this is what a professional speaker is." And so we're always on that kind of display. So anywho, we hugely love the industry. I've achieved that dream. I'm extremely fortunate on so many levels to be able to do that and do this for a living. I don't take it for granted, and it's an incredible thing. So anywho, COVID hits. I retreat into my world and my family, and just like a lot of people, just stuff was really tough for everybody. And so I started coming back out and into the industry recently and looking around, and I started hearing about kind of a training company. And I started hearing about this training company that I had heard at the time. This turned out, I haven't had any confirmation of this since, but I had heard that they were incentivizing bureaus to book their community speakers. And I'm like, that's weird. I don't know about that. Let me start looking into this. So I start looking into it a little bit, and I talked to a couple people, and they're like, I hadn't heard that, but I had heard this. And I'm like, huh. And then 3 days later, a letter goes out from this training company to the industry saying we're insolvent, and and one little line in there was a cause for concern for me, outside of all the other causes for concern for a company, overnight running away, kind of, or fleeing from somebody, potentially taking money. There was a line there saying all bureau partners will be paid out their commissions by the partners, because there was 4 partners, I guess, in this company. And I thought to myself, why does a speaker training company owe bureaus commissions? Like, it's weird. It's backwards. There's no reason why. So I started digging further, and then I found out the thing, which was this training company was paying referral fees to bureaus. not all bureaus, but a lot of bureaus, was paying referral fees to if you sent a speaker for training. Now, my background, I was in affiliate marketing. I have no problem with affiliate fees, referral fees, anything that you get a percentage. Literally, people listening right now, and you yourself, sir, you make a percentage, right? I have no problem with percentages, but when you get into a referral world, that's a third-party thing. I am recommending you to go to a third place. There are things that go with that, and the biggest thing with that is disclosure. You have to disclose a commercial relationship with that third party. If you get money or product or a discount, if you get a compensation for what you're recommending, you need to disclose that. I'm not going to get into the law because I really don't want the law to guide our ethics, although it's illegal in multiple countries. You need to disclose. And if you don't disclose, we call that, in my world, a kickback. Now, on the disclosure level alone, that's an issue. And ethics are not a renewable resource. You don't get to re-up them every quarter. So the ethics of disclosing these kickbacks or referral fees, whatever day you're feeling good and what you're going to call it, you didn't disclose these things. So that's that part of just the disclosure.
And who does it need to be disclosed to?
So what happens is, so this is the scenario. I'm sorry, I should walk you through the scenario then. So I am an aspirational speaker, okay? And I come to you, Peter, and I say, hey, I saw that Scott Stratten man bun guy. Although he looks like a sound guy, I see he's doing keynote speaking. I too think I can do that. Now, you looking at me realizing, it's not going to happen yet. Or maybe ever, because a lot of people ask to do it. It's really hard to be able to do it and do it for a living, right? It's a tough thing. You can't just start doing it in theory. There's two in my brain. There's two ways to be a keynote speaker, and we're talking those big conferences, those 5-figure fees. You either work your way up, or you become famous. Either land a plane on the Hudson River, get your arm stuck in a boulder for 127 hours, whatever those things are, or work your way up, do the reps. And so I come to you and say, hey, I would like, and I'm not ready, because to be honest with everybody listening right now, my advice, if you want to get repped by a speaker bureau, and please, sir, correct me if I'm wrong, the best way to get repped by a speaker bureau is to have the bureau's clients ask for you as a speaker.
That, and we like to do trial periods and just
right.
dating and seeing, if the buyers and our planners that we're working with are going to go for it.
But if you generate the demand, if you do talks, right? Talks beget talks, right? Gigs get gigs.
Exactly.
And once you start hearing that buzz, then your ear opens. When it comes unsolicited, it's like every industry, publishing, the music industry, speaking. Unsolicited means you have no leverage and you have no clout, really. So it's really hard to get repped unsolicited. Really hard that I've seen in the industry. So I come to you though, but now, so this is the thing. Now we have a power imbalance. So I come to you and say, I think you're my key to getting gigs. You're my key to that wealth and love on stage and standing ovations. You look at me and say, Scott, you're not ready. Go to this training company though. They'll help you get ready. And then you go to that training company and you spend $11,000 for an annual membership. Unbeknownst to me, the speaker who is trusting you as an authority in the industry, as a representation of the speaking industry, as a bureau, you get a 25% cut of that fee. And don't tell me. And here's the kicker. I've talked to multiple people in bureaus who sent people who they knew they'd never book. Think of the implication. I hold the gold for you, and I say you're not ready yet, but if you go here, you're going to get closer. And then maybe I go and then also get a video made. And you get a cut of that too, by the way, Peter. You get a cut of the video getting made. And don't worry, the video is going to be great. You know how the video is going to be great? Because we're going to hire a fake audience of hundreds of actors. Every single one of them will give a standing ovation. We will film your keynote trailer in the moment on stage. We'll stop the filming to have you do a line again, whatever. It doesn't matter. The audience are actors. We'll have them in there for 10 to 13 hours. They'll give fake standing ovations to every person making a reel. And then those actors will give you fake testimonials in the hallway you can use for your reel. It's some of the most disgusting thing I've heard. So here's what I do with this information, Peter. I take this and I say, this is wrong. And I start getting upset because that's what I do. And I say, what's my recourse? What's anybody's recourse? So I say, okay, well, not all bureaus are like this. Not everybody's doing this. And some people who then, I posted about it and said, what is going on in our industry? And I had a few people write to me and say, you know what? I feel bad about that. I shouldn't have done it. It doesn't make any sense. And the problem is this company went under and people thought that was the end of the story. This is the beginning.
Sorry I want to stop you there for a second.
Yeah.
Was it agents from bureaus writing you feeling bad about this? Or
yes.
Okay.
So I've talked to now, I think 7 or 8 different, including principals of most of those bureaus and some agents. Most of the time it was the principals of the bureaus saying, hey, I did, and nobody was like 500 people referred. Everybody had referred a handful here and there. But the point was this funnel, this system is built in there. And now you have this conflict of interest. So then if I go and spend $13,000 on this membership, maybe $37,000 on this video package for my reel, you've now made $12,500 off of me, and you never had to book me a gig. I had somebody have the audacity say, that's just multiple streams of income, Scott. How dare you? How dare you say that? I know multiple streams of income. I understand. I teach that stuff. But when one of those streams is poisoned, when it's unethical, when it's toxic, we have to address it. So here's the problem. I then go and start talking to the associations, NSA, CAPS here in Canada. I look at IASB. I talk to people in their committees and say, hey, what is your policy on kickbacks, on gifting? Because every industry and every association has a policy on vendor giftings and that's because there's a huge ethical issue in every business because of human beings. I used to be in HR. I wrote gifting policies, which says you can only give a gift of this amount to somebody, or you don't give, you accept. You can make the policy of what's coming into your company for that part. So you accept, and it's $50, $100, whatever it is. And everybody I talked to had different kind of rules for their bureau. One was like, you can't send anything to an agent. And then I start talking to more, and then other stuff starts coming out. I talked to one, they're like, oh no, actually speakers tip our agents. They've been advised. I talked to a speaker that one of the agencies I used to be exclusive with. And one of the speakers there said, I thought you were doing it too, Scott. I was advised if I want to be a top speaker at this bureau, when I get a booking confirmed to my email that day, I PayPal $500 to that agent.
On top of the commission that the agency's taking?
On top of the commission, a straight personal payment of $500 cash or PayPal to the agent's direct personal.
Okay, the agents directly. Okay. Oh, wow.
Right. So this is the problem. So people will say, well, and then people start getting upset at me saying, well, Scott, that's not every bureau. That's 1 or 2. I still haven't even talked to half of the bureaus out there, and I've already got this. And so you keep going. So then I say, okay, what happens if you, Peter, what happens if you say, I can't stand for this in our industry, in our bureau industry? I am a member of the IASB, and I said, I can't stand for this. So I talked to somebody on the ethics committee at the IASB, and I say, what is the policy for this? And he says, there is none. We have no policies about this whatsoever. I said, what's the plan? They're like, what are you talking about? There is none. And I said, make one. And they're like, you're not a member. What are you going to tell us what to do? And I said, no. But I will put pressure on you. And that's what I'm doing right now. It is unacceptable that an industry that doesn't need my part of the industry, keynote speakers, and doesn't need your part of the industry, speaker bureaus, events can happen without us. They need neither of us. And I thought we were partners. I thought this was supposed to be a thing together. And I've been a good boy. I've been the Boy Scout with bureaus since I've started. Every person I've talked to, I've tried to help a lot of people in speaking. I used to run a community of it. I love to talk about the speaking business and help people in it because I think wisdom is time plus mistakes. And the more we share our mistakes with others, the less they make them. So we start talking to other people and you realize, oh no, this has gone all over the place. This has gone all over the place, and honestly, I'm rambling so much right now. I need you to bring me back to earth for a moment.
Well, I do have a question, because I mean, you've been doing this for a long time now, and
Yeah.
so this something that you think is just going on now, or
I think the answer is yes, both. Meaning, there has been I know there is a infamous bureau out there that does another ethical thing that was brought up in that article, which is double dipping of commissions, right? So as speakers, we quote gross.
When I saw this on your video, this one blew my mind.
So, and if you're listening right now and you're not part of this, there's two ways. Myself as a speaker, we're always told, how do you quote a fee? It's net or gross. So let's say my fee is $5, and that's what I'm going to say. And you want to represent me and book me for a speak, and I'm going to say, well, my gross is $5, which means you take your commission out of that, or my net is $5, which means you add your commission on top. There's one famous speaker bureau that's not been removed from IASB, as far as I know, for doing this, that's infamous. There's a couple other ones, but they're more talent agencies, so the business model flips a bit. The problem is we start getting into there, and we're like, and as soon as you start allowing it happening, it's like, oh, okay, we're good to go. So this is back to what I was going to say before. So my whole point of bureaus, and what I've told every single person in this bureau, was very simple. If you want to be a speaker, quote gross. Because when you quote gross as a speaker, the end client, the event, can't go around the bureau and try to get that discount. Because they might ask you, and you don't know that they're already talking to a bureau. They'll just email blindly. It happens all the time, right? They'll email and say, hey, let me see if I can get a deal. It's just business. No, it's not. Stop doing that, please. So if I quoted, though, $5 and you added a fee on to $7, if they came directly to me, they're getting cheaper. So everybody quote gross. Nobody's going to get anything going around me. Plus, if a client went around me, especially in the early days before I was exclusive, if a client went around a bureau and I didn't know, I had this happen a few times with Speaker Spotlight in Canada. And I got a note saying, hey, this was actually our client. They went around you. And I'm just like, and I cut them a check immediately for the commission. I am part of this partnership. I am locked in with this relationship with bureaus. And then you start finding this stuff out. And the fact that nobody, and I include, by the way, speakers in this as well. Somebody said to me a few days ago, why are you just going after bureaus? Speakers do a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm saying, I haven't even started. I haven't even started with this. But the point was, I'm standing up for my side of the industry. People are getting ripped off coming into this business and are supporting groups we have speakers, we have bureaus, we have managers, we have all these in our world. And people are taking and getting money off of speakers without the gigs. We've removed the gig part of this and turned it into just getting cuts from training or maybe book publishing or all these things. And especially the new ones that come into the industry, they think this is how it's supposed to happen. Oh, everybody does fake audiences. And then I talked to bureau people and they said, don't worry, nobody's going to book anybody from a fake audience video. And I said, that's worse. It's worse. Every one of these fake videos that go out into the industry hurts our industry.
You can and they all look the same.
They do.
They all look.
but the problem with these ones that I'm talking about now recently, one of the problems with them is they did it so big, so flashy, and the speaker up there looks like a deer in the headlights. I watched one speaker. I'm like, have you ever stood on a stage in your life? No, but they had a credit card with room. I want to ask everybody listening right now, because I know people listening to this right now, I know some people will be part of this company or still be fans of it. And I want to ask them one question. Did you turn anybody away from this speaking training company that had the credit card room? Because if you don't turn anybody away, you're saying anybody could be a keynote, and you and I both know how untrue that is.
Yeah.
Anybody can be a speaker. Anybody can present. Anybody can stand up in front of a room if you work on it. But these people are being told, in 3 months, you can go from no stage to the biggest stage if you just give us a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And then you all get a part of that.
And I mean, look, anybody can be a speaker.
Yes.
There is no barrier to entry.
Yes.
The real question here is can they get booked?
Yes, bingo.
More times than not, the answer...
That's the professional speaker side of it. The professional implies getting paid, yes.
There's been multiple speaker training companies for, forever. And so,
yeah.
again, is this kind of like a
But
newfound?
here's the beef. I don't have a problem with speaker training or speaker training companies. It's not something I do or want to do, but I don't have a problem with it's professional development. Of course,
Yeah.
it helps. The issue is not the training. My issue with that training company is not the community they built. My issue is the unethical nature of the product that was being sold, which are those videos, and the unethical referral of those videos to our industry. And the fact that people try to separate those two things is a lie, and it just makes people feel comfortable. Our industry is at a turning point right now. We've had a big thing happen, which was that entire insolvency, but the bigger thing was what built it in the first place. And that because the problem is this industry is just us, Peter. It's just us. It's just us all in this industry figuring stuff out. And when people get away with stuff and do things, people are like, oh, okay. The number of people I have freaking talked to in the past 2 months in this industry who said, oh, thank God you said something. And I say, why didn't you? Why didn't anybody say something when we see these things? Oh, yeah, I saw that thing. And say something. This is an industry that we are supposed to have together and protect together. And then now new people come in and get ripped off all the time. And I know established speakers in this industry have been part of this. I beg of people. And so and by the way, I'm going to stop this part of the rant with this. I was asked by somebody in the bureau industry, Scott, what do you want? It's like, what will it take for you to stop yelling about this? I said, I want a policy in place that says we will only refer people to outside or to vendors if we disclose our commercial relationship with them. That is the base of just an industry. And just the fact that people have put their backs up so much to having one is my real cause for alarm, which is why I've kept digging. The resistance to ethics concerns me from some parts of this industry. And the other side of it, because it gets all gray, because some people are like, well, we don't take tips, but we do this. Well, what about incentive trips? I don't know. Our industry has incentive trips in it. Like, I speak at them. How do we balance that? The question is, you have to come up with a policy, and a policy includes an amount.
Well, so after you made the video you did a few weeks back, I was going to ask, like, well, what has the response been? Have people been messaging you, kind of saying the same thing, that they want reform, that they want?
Yes, yeah. Most of the messages have been of kind of the thank you for saying that. Thank you for putting your neck on the line. Thank you for putting your name out there, because obviously this obviously doesn't help me. But that's not the point.
And where's the resistance coming from then? Who are the people?
Resistance are from a few people. People in the industry, in the bureau industry, and the speaker industry, who insist that training company did nothing wrong and just their CEO ran away with all the money. And it was an incredible place that was a utopia of speaking, and it was ruined by one bad actor. I do not buy that. Part of the business, because a couple people had said, who had resisted it, had said, well, the videos were not even directly involved with them, or I wasn't part of those videos. I don't care. And so does so many other people. So part of those talks, and then the other resistance has just been, really, like I need to put this straight. Out of every person I've talked to in the past couple months about this, the majority of people give a damn about this industry. They really do, including bureau people. And I know this stuff brushes the industry with certain ways, and I understand that the bureaus feel like they're losing a bit of a grip on the meeting industry. I know that because a study was done sponsored by that training company for your association. Isn't that fancy? The same company that was the title premier sponsor of the association for years. It's gross on so many levels for this.
It then makes you wonder, when you reached out to the International Association of Bureaus or whatever, the resistance that you were getting there as to why there isn't any ethics policies in place. Maybe that's one of the reasons why is, the people who are sponsoring their programs and their events are the ones where they're actually making the money. it really makes you think though. Like, I mean, the one party we have not yet really acknowledged in all this are the event planners who are really getting screwed.
Right.
Whether it's because of the double dipping, and them getting quoted more than what they should actually be
Right.
paying to the speaker, or if they're being sold false goods. I mean, if they're watching a video, they don't know any better. They see this amazing quality with the footage and the standing ovation. Um, like, I mean, if I'm an event planner, I'm seeing that, I'm like, holy shit, like, this looks great. I mean, I want to book that person or
And then
do
they
it.
get up there and they're not that.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I've heard about it happening. I've heard about it happening. And yet these videos continue to be made, and bureaus and speakers continue to refer people to them. Why? Because they need to make those multiple streams of revenue. Unethical. I am going to beat ethics into this industry one way or the other. And I know it's not everybody, just like every industry. It just takes a handful. I know not every bureau is bad with finances. I've still lost money to 2 bureaus that went under, one of which their principal is still in the industry and still doing stuff under a different name, and everybody seems to be okay with it. This is part of the issue here. I have had 540 something gigs. I've never missed one. I've had 2 gigs that go under from bureaus. Like, we're trying to do the thing of just because this industry is crazy cool. I make a stupid living doing what I do. And when I'm with the bureau doing all those things, so is the bureau as a percentage. And I've been close to the top of the speaker in different bureaus in the past 20 years. So I've seen behind the scenes in this world. And I know bureaus get handcuffed by clients all the time. People go around them and you get screwed, and they ask multiple bureaus. I've never said it's easy being in this business or it's easy being a bureau, and I'm not against them. I'm still 100% a bureau backer. I'm still repped. I'm repped by leading authorities. I'm still a bureau, but I can't, if you're in a bureau and you're arguing any of these points with me, that's my problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine why or how there would be any resistance to this. I mean, transparency is kind of one of the fundamentals in what it is that we do, and being able to just let people know about what's actually happening behind the scenes, especially when it comes to money, seems like a no-brainer.
And because think about it right now, like if you said, people say, well, how the heck would I say that to somebody? And I'd be like, hey, you go to this training program, they'll help you, but they're going to send me some cash. And I said, you know why it sounds gross? Because it is. You're in a position of power. If the training company is part of your company, you don't have to disclose it. If it's like, hey, I have ABC Bureau, here's ABC Training, we're together, come use it here as well. Yeah, it's all the same thing. Still conflict of interest, right? So that we don't look at these things, and then now speakers are terrified to speak out against bureaus. Speakers are terrified to say anything for not for they'll stop getting gigs for them. A lot of the people that are terrified of bureaus have never gotten gigs from them. They just don't want to potentially piss them off while they're having money coming out of their pocket from this training company or this training company or this video company. It's something that we're all supposed to do this together. And again, I just keep saying the same thing, man, but it's gotten me so, I care about no industry more than this one.
And so for aspiring speakers who are hearing this,
Yeah.
what are the steps that they now need to take? I mean,
Look, I really, look, the problem is the human being route, not the celebrity route or famous route, but just like the thought leadership or growing your portfolio and getting up and stepping up in stages. It's just not sexy. It's just not something I can say, you know what I mean? You can just do this and kaboom. It's reps. It's doing talks. If you haven't started, you need 3 things: topics, trailers, and testimonials. You need to figure out what you're going to talk about in a way that somebody can look at it, read it, and say, there's a talk, and have a couple of them. Trailers are videos. Please don't use fake ones. Right? And then testimonials are somebody can be able to say, hey, I saw this person do this. They can walk and talk, okay? We're good to go. Now, the thing is here, people will say, well, I can't get a video without speaking, and I can't speak without a video. Yes, you can. If you're getting resistance at that level, they're not booking you, you're aiming too high. I don't mean that as an insult. I mean that as if you have never done your own talk, right? You've presented for your company or you've done this but you're going to do your own talk, then I want to do some reps before the big stage. You know what I mean? So I want to do some talks. There are local associations that are chapters sometimes of national associations that have monthly meetings that die for speakers every month. They have no budget, but they would love to come and maybe you could set up a table, whatever it is. My advice for speaking for free is I never speak for free unless I do. You know what I mean? If you have to build it up, I'm going to say, okay, and I want to speak here, but then I'm going to have it filmed and have it mic'd. And then so you're going to get some of that trailer, some of that video. You'll be able to get a testimonial, and you've worked on one of the topics. That's a rep. My first professional talk was at the Oakville Public Library here in town. There was 11 people, 6 of which were there for Pilates later in the day, and they felt bad for the empty room. The other 6 were I think 4 were family and 2 had bought tickets. And I was giving a talk, and I gave a talk. And I did the whole talk. My next talk was at Mapleview Mall in front of the food court. Sir, the person working at New York Fries was mocking me. Right? That's my second talk. And then my third talk. And then I kept going and kept going. And you start building that momentum. Because sometimes the keynote speaking isn't actually what you want to do anyways. It's just the speaking. Because there's no better way to generate authority and leads for your business to me than doing a talk. It's such an authority. And I don't mean selling or pitching. I mean just giving a talk that helps the audience. It's positioning. And so you can make an incredible living from speaking for your entire career and not make a cent off of speaking directly. It's leads, it's referrals, it's back of room, it's programs, whatever that. I specifically talk about keynote speaking, getting paid to speak, which is a very part of the world of speaking. So when you go into it, understand there's a bunch of other ways as well. And don't make your validation just the stage at the Sheraton downtown Toronto or somewhere else, wherever you're speaking, because there's a bunch of other stages that also need you. Your worth isn't defined as a speaker by the amount of a fee. Your worth is how the audience is after you've done the talk, and that can build on that.
And I mean, I think another thing I want to hammer home for people listening to this, if they are aspiring speakers looking at putting in the reps and doing everything you just mentioned, a bureau isn't necessarily always the be-all and end-all either.
No.
I know individuals who don't have any representation at all,
Yeah.
who have never worked with a speaker agency,
Correct.
who are doing very, very well just on their own.
But here's the thing, right? You can become a bureau in 3 seconds from now. I can be a professional speaker, like we said, in 3 seconds from now. Like there's no barrier to entry on it. That's why looking at it and saying doing those reps, it's why I also advise, because a bureau can come to you.
Yep.
Like this is how I got the book deal. This is how I got repped by a bureau. Making noise is my job. That's my job, is making the noise. The industry's job is to say, hey, I like that noise. I like that noise. I'd like a piece of that noise. And that's how the leverage happens. That's actually UnMarketing. That's my whole company. That's what we talk about. But that's the point, is the leverage is I have never pitched a gig in my life. I've had bureau people pitch gigs for, but I have never gone and said, I would like to speak at this event. And that's 540 plus keynotes. And that's not including everything else before that. That's the leverage. And that's creating that demand. And a lot of that was through speaking. But nobody sees the 30-city speaking tour I did for UnMarketing when it came out, which started the momentum. That was 30 cities in 10 weeks. I was bankrupt. I had a prepaid credit card. My agency had gone like 08, 09, and I didn't see it coming because I'm a moron. And it just was horrible. But I believed in people and Twitter. And I did 30 cities in 10 weeks, all from people putting me up and flying me there and buying 100 books. And it was a speaking tour. But what led up to that was that momentum never stopped until COVID. It was a decade of speaking because of everything that built up to that speaking tour for the book. But nobody wants to hear the part that took that, which was 100,000 tweets. Right? It's the work.
Yeah.
It's not people think about speaking and we're like, how do I speak? It's a lot of the times the work in speaking isn't the speaking, it's the positioning.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? Have you done the things that give you the credibility to say what you're about to say in front of an audience who wants to hear what you want to say?
Yeah.
And that's part of that. And sometimes we forget the doing the stuff part, where people are I want to be a speaker. I was like, what are you going to talk about? What have you done? And they're like, I don't, what? And you just like, go do some stuff or learn some stuff and figure it out and where you want to go and talk about. Because the problem is and I'm sure you see this, even like, let's say just motivational speakers, like that world of speaking, The problem is if you say, I want to be a motivational speaker, I'm just like, again, what's your story? Because you're beat already. You're already beat. There's already 400,000 people that have a more motivational story than you right now. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, because of that, it's, well, I like to, because I'm resilient. Cool. Great. Killer. Yeah, we've all had to be resilient over the past many years. Thank you very much. So that's part of that, where it's like, hey, where's my hook? Where's my demand? And a lot of times, and that's part of the problem, like I'd mentioned before, bureaus, like you were just saying earlier, it not necessarily has to be part of your speaking. And they might come along at a different time. But the problem is, a lot of our industry in the new, they're just like, it's like they treat a bureau like a publisher. They're like, please validate me, please validate me. Meanwhile, you're in the middle of doing your gigs, your bookings, you're already doing these things. You're like, could you hang on? Could you just hang on a second? I'm in the middle of doing 42 different events here. And I know you love what you talk about, but this is not what I'm doing right now. And so finding out that way, like I started this industry on the other side of the table. I was part of an association that booked speakers.
Okay, this is perfect, because that was my next question. Is we've spent a lot of time now talking about it from everything about the industry from the speaker perspective. So the shady practices going on, how to be how to be a speaker on the circuit. But if you're an event planner listening to this, what should they be taking out of this conversation? And I know that you came from that world prior to entering the speaking circuit. Booking speakers. So if you're an event planner listening to this, what should they be garnering from this conversation?
Well, it was one of the things that, looking at it, where if I'm listening to this right now and I'm concerned about a bureau, if they're doing things right, I'm asking them, what's your policy on fees? What's your policy on this? Do you, but also I don't expect a meeting planner part to be concerned about the background stuff of training videos and everything else, because you're not dealing with that necessarily. So the event planner is, if you trust your people and you trust your bureau, then you don't have a problem. But if you start seeing a gap between the videos and the quality and then the product you get, I'm going to go back to that bureau and say, hey, was that video filmed in front of an actual audience? And if the answers aren't what you like, I would consider looking at a different bureau. Yeah. I would. We are all vendors here. Speaker bureaus are brokers. I'm a bottle of ketchup on the shelf. You know what I mean? Like we're products, we're vendors here. And when you look at this, yes, vendors have their entire industry. And that's why gifting is, and referral fees is such an issue in that world, because you have to trust that middle layer.
Yeah. And we're all talking. The funny thing is, it's like all the bureau, we're all talking to the exact same event planners. All of us, whether you're a bureau, whether you are a self-represented speaker, like we know who these people are, and we're talking to them, and we're all pitching the same service. It's just we're maybe pitching different speakers, and so that's really kind of it.
But it really comes back down to because you realize what it is, because you've dealt with them, and I've dealt with people in the meeting industry. They just want you to deliver what you said.
Exactly.
And they just want you to do your job, and don't be the Tylenol, don't be the reason for it, because at events it's the same thing. I always tell people I seem like a diva on stage, but I'm really not. Right? I need a clicker and I need water at any temperature, and that's about it. That's my entire rider for the most part. There's a fact that I do not want to get in their way. They have 3,000 things happening at these events that I speak at, and I'm the pretty bow that either opens or closes the event, and the core stuff happens during it with all the sessions. And so my actual job isn't about the audience. It's about that person, making sure that they end that day saying my job is good, safe, and I look great. And because there's so many moving parts to events, and so many more moving parts nowadays to events, that I rather be the speaker that comes in and says, hey, if you don't mind, I'm just going to blow the roof off this talk and not cause any other issues, and just let them rock and roll outside of there. Because I've seen speakers who do way too much at events as well, and overstay their welcome and overdo things. And sometimes you're just like, know your role. Like, right? I'm gonna just start chucking loonies at me on stage. I'm just dancing or something, and then I'll get out of there. Like, I get it. I know what I'm here to do. I'm a hired gun to start or stop the show, and I understand that role.
Scott, we're coming up on time here. I just want to know what's exciting you about this industry moving forward.
What's exciting me is that, like, it's a stupid thing, But I was talking to somebody recently. They're like, what industries won't be affected by AI? And I said, keynote speaking. And I'm just like, because we already had the Tupac hologram 10 years ago at Coachella, and everybody said holograms were coming, and I know it ain't. So I'm like, I know we're safe for now. That was like my one thing with the industry itself. But also, it's been really nice over the past year or so having more events back, and that especially, and you know what? It's a perfect time because of the AI stuff that a lot of people are resisting it because they want that real connection. And it only helps us in our industry of the event industry because in-person connection, it can't be beat. And so that still keeps me excited, even though we had a few years of no large indoor gatherings to speak of. Yeah.
Well, no, Scott, this has been great. I appreciate you doing this.
Thank you, man.
Saying what most people are afraid to say.
Thank you for letting me unload on the therapy session. I appreciate that.
Every industry has its mess,
But here's the thing. Exactly that. And I want to clean it up, and I want other people want to clean it up with me. That's the thing. People say, what do you want us to do? Let's make it right. Let's make it right and close this chapter, and then we don't have to talk about it again.
Yeah, and making it right seems like such a simple, easy fix. It's nothing.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Because it is.
It is. That's right. Scott Stratten, thank you so much.
Cheers.